Hey, Dr. Dolly. Thanks for all that you do. I recently received a letter from the IRS, and unfortunately, it was not a Christmas card. It was a notification of a tax audit. I'm wondering if it is best just to pay a professional tax audit defense from the beginning, or should I try and do this myself? I feel my taxes have been paid fairly, but as with most legal matters, it is better to hire a professional. I'm wondering if this is the same kind of circumstance. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Thanks.
All right. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your audit to start with. Let me talk just briefly about audits. It's not the end of the world to get an audit. It's not the end of the world to get a letter from the IRS. I probably get a letter from the IRS about once a month. Happens all the time. And the reason why is my tax situation is rather complicated. Between corporate income tax returns and personal income tax returns and all the forms that you got to send in for employees, et cetera. And it's not unusual at all for me to make an error either. What I've learned over the years, however, is that it's not unusual for the IRS to make an error either. So we're about 50-50 when they send me a letter as far as who's made the error. So don't assume that this is some terrible thing to start with just because you get a letter from the IRS. Secondly, some audits are really just them asking for a little bit more documentation. The state might send you something like this. I got one the other year asking about 529 credit that I had claimed on my state income taxes. And it didn't match up with the form they had gotten from the state 529 people. Well, the state 529 people sent them the wrong form. It was the right form, had the wrong amount on it. So I just had to get the state 529 people to fix their form and send it to them. It really wasn't a big deal. I certainly didn't need a big time, tax audit defense, professional attorney, accountant, et cetera, to defend me in that case. If you are paying somebody else to do your taxes, to prepare your taxes, that's the person who should be dealing with this right now. That's part of the reason why you're paying them, is to deal with these sorts of problems. And so if you're not doing your taxes yourself, get that letter into the hands of your tax professional, let them deal with it. If you are doing your taxes yourself, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially if you have a relatively simple tax situation. I've done my taxes myself for many, many years, including some fairly complicated returns. It's not that hard most of the time. And as long as you are doing your very best to try to pay the taxes you owe, they're not going to throw you in jail if you make a mistake. It sounds to me like this is the situation you're in. So I would look at what the audit is asking for. If this is just they're looking for a little more information, or they think you did your calculations wrong or whatever, and they're telling you owe another couple $1,000, you may want to look back at it. Maybe they're right. Look at your calculations. If you just obviously screwed up, then say, yeah, you're right, and send them the check and be done with it. But if you're not sure exactly what's going on, or you think they're wrong, or they're wanting to audit everything, this is going to be a big deal audit, sit down across from the auditor, then sure, it wouldn't be a bad idea to at least go talk to one of these professionals, whether it's an accountant or whether it's an attorney. And talk to them about it, have them go over your taxes, pay them a few $100 to give you a little bit of advice about the situation. Maybe it's really simple and you can still handle it yourself. Maybe you're better off paying them a few $1,000s to take care of it for you. That really comes down to the situation. Now, if you're in tax trouble, if you owe tens of thousands of dollars, you've been doing your taxes wrong, or the IRS thinks you've been evading your taxes, it's time to go get a pro. All right, if you're in that situation, go get somebody in your corner that knows what they're doing, that's experienced, no matter what they cost, and get this taken care of. The last creditor you want to have is the IRS. They have powers that are not available to most of your creditors, like seizing assets, seizing salary, those sorts of things. So don't mess with the IRS and play around with them when you really are in trouble. Don't ignore the letters they're sending you, and get somebody that can give you good, solid advice in your corner. Hope that's helpful, Cam. Hope everything goes well. Let us know. If you want your questions answered by the White Coat Investor, record your question at whitecoatinvestor.com/YQA or click the link in the description.